to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the July 9th, 2024 regular scheduled Port Clinton City Council meeting in the Linda Hartlab Chambers of Port Clinton City Hall. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent reflection for the serving and protecting our country.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Madam President,
Mr. Trolley.
in lieu of Mrs. Ostheimer's absence, I'd like to put in a motion to appoint Mrs. Beth Gilman as clerk of council.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Any discussion? I have a motion by Mr. Trolley, second by Ms. Phillips to appoint Beth Gilman as temporary clerk. Clerk, please call the roll.
Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Richard Morgan.
Yes.
Kelly Gangle.
Yes.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Kathy King.
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Kelly Gangle.
Yes.
Pat Hovis. Richard Morgan.
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Here.
Kathy King.
Here.
Beth Gilman. Here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Council, you previously received the the June 25th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam President, I move for acceptance of the approval of the minutes for June 25th.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Ms. Phillips and seconded by Mrs. Hovis to approve the June 25, 2024 meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. The minutes from June 25th, 2024 are approved. The chair notes that certification has been made regarding compliance with the rules and notifications of this meeting. We have no guest presentation. We have no public comments. Move on to executive officers' reports. I'd just like to thank the committee that got together for the fireworks. It was nice. The day events with that group too were very nice. And thank you to the Mayor from Women's Club for helping in the morning. We had almost 90 people, which is the largest crowd we've had pre-COVID. So it was pretty nice. I think everyone had a good time. So that's all I have this evening. That's the mayor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, members of council. First and foremost, unfortunately, she's out of town this week, but yesterday was Mrs. Ostheimer's birthday. So please all send her a birthday greeting. Just to follow up on the 4th of July, it was a huge success. I'd like to personally thank the 4th of July committee, of course, you mentioned already, the Port Clinton Women's Club, Heather Isbell, who organized the Firecracker Cutie Contest, Kenny Holcomb and Debbie Tester, who put together the car show. Unfortunately, the sprinkles scared away quite a few of the cars, but it was still a good turnout to start off with. Greg Fox and Annie and Amy Drummer, who put on one heck of a Voices of Freedom concert. If you missed it, you missed something pretty special. Of course, City Council, thank you for the donation at the beginning of the calendar year. When it comes time for budgets, I'll be begging and pleading for more money for next year. All the sponsors that contributed, Vaughn Ryder, who was the DJ in Waterworks Park for the family dance party, all the donors that went out and gave to make this happen. It truly was a community event. And certainly not last, Margaret Phillips. Thank you for putting up your hair. Because of your efforts, we raised an additional $6,200 and some odd dollars to get us closer to our goal. We actually did not make the goal this year, but we were able to borrow some funds from a local group. With the money we made from the car show, cutie contest, so forth, we were able to pay them back. And right now we're about $1,900 going into the next year's 4th of July festivities. So fundraising began on the 5th, and I'm trying to beg and plead with Margaret to give me 10 months to raise $20,000 for this 4 weeks. So we'll see how that goes. Perhaps Acting Fire Chief Guttner will mention this when he speaks a little bit later, but I would like to congratulate Medic Tom Sees and EMT Jody Brown. Late Friday night, early Saturday morning, however you want to look at it, they were returning from a transport to another community hospital to Port Clinton, and as they approached the fire station, they kind of looked at each other, and just about the same time they said, "Is that yes?" You know, if you've been around a campfire, you know what a campfire smells. If you've been around a house fire, it has a completely different smell. In essence, it's burning trash is the smell. And they smelled that. It wasn't a campfire, it was definitely something burning. So they drove around for a few minutes, and because all the street lights were off, it was easier to find. They saw the glow and found a trailer and the fountains on fire. Obviously, fire department was toned out. I presume the structure is a loss. Thankfully, no one was home. They did lose a few pets, but because of Tom and Jody's quick action, the structures adjacent, as you know back there, they're pretty tight to one another. They were saved with no damage. So if you know Tom and Jody, please give them a good attaboy for paying attention to their surroundings at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night, Saturday morning. Anything you want to add to that?
No, it was a good find, like you said. They legitimately saved probably about 2 or 3 houses just by checking in on what most of us would pass on as a bonfire. But it didn't smell right to them, so they came over, and the entire side of the trailer they were able to get the people out of was already curling because of the heat radiating off of the adjacent trailer that was on fire. So had they just gone back in, by the time somebody else would have presumably found that fire, it's probably because their own home was already burning. So they saved an entire structure and possibly the lives of the neighbors there. So that's a big congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Just a reminder to everyone in the community that on July 29th, it's a Monday, from 5 until 10 p.m. in downtown Portland, we will have our second annual Bridge USA J1 Exchange Kid welcome event. Food, entertainment, games, get to meet the kids. We've invited a lot of service organizations to come down and set up their wares. So again, if you're available, stop by, say hi. If you see the kids in the community, they all want to speak English without a doubt. It's one of the reasons they came here. Mr. Bilo is not here tonight because he's currently at the Ottawa County Parks District meeting going over the recent park amenities plan that was submitted to the city through OHM advisors. It's currently under review by the administration. It was created through public engagement of approximately 500 online surveys. 40 people attended 2 public meetings. The plan includes recommendations and cost estimates for priority park improvements, as well as recommendations for active transportation improvements. Those include splash pad with 2 possible locations and price estimates, pickleball in the community with 2 possible locations and price estimates, dog park right next to the fire station with cost estimates. And those were the 3 things that the city was looking for, and then we opened it up for discussion from the community, and from that there was this determined a need for a multi-use pavilion and plaza at North Jefferson Street with cost estimates, a plaza at the pier with cost estimates, a beach house at Waterworks Park with the cost estimates, and then an active transportation component of this. The Ottawa County Parks District provided the majority of the funding for this feasibility study, and from that, connecting with areas outside of the Port Clinton boundaries, a 10-foot wide shared use pathway running east to west with improvements along Perry Street, Lakeshore Drive, 163 corridor, 6-foot wide pedestrian pathways at Portage Park, aka Taft Hill, Lakeview Park, and the potential for additional walkways in Waterworks Park. So what are the next steps now that we've had this in our hands for about 4 or 5 days? Finishing touches on the plan, complete modifications to the design. At some point in the very near future, we'll present this to a city council meeting for further discussion, and then eventually, hopefully, to full city council for implementation. And then at some point, again, in the distant future, look for possible funding sources to make this a possibility and implementation. Following some of the same design planning processes we did for the infrastructure project. So don't know a timeline at this point where we will have the review complete in time to present it to city council, but council know that's coming, and I know many of you attended the community discussions that we had. Finally tonight, Madam President, with your permission, I'd like to step up front and get in front of the camera. August 25th, as you all know, is PC Day at Fifth Third Field, and it's Port Clinton all day, all the time. It's the high school band is going to sing the national, play the national anthem. We've got the color guard from VFW coming down. Mr. Colson and I are going to approach a Korean War veteran to see if he'll be our hometown hero. Local daycare is going to sing the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" at the 7th inning stretch, but we need someone to throw out the first pitch. Mr. Colson, would you come forward, please? I called Tracy earlier today and I said, hey, do you have a baseball? I need this for tomorrow. So we're making a call to the bullpen. We need a right-handed pitcher. Would you throw out the first pitch?
Sure.
All right. Thank
Start
you.
warming up now.
Make it to the plate.
Go out to the plate or there's no trouble, Zach.
No pressure, no pressure.
With that, Madam President, unless there's any questions, Mr. Trolley, that concludes my report.
I have questions, but I think I'll wait till business report, and multiple.
Okay. Okay, auditor is at the meeting, treasurer's not here, law director's report.
Thank you, Madam President. I do have an announcement I was told I was allowed to make today. So I'm making it, and Mr. Chrisman can definitely follow up with that. So at the last meeting we had, there were quite a few questions about why this property isn't being tended to, or why this property isn't being tended to. So there were people at the administrative level who got together, put their heads together, and hopefully beginning of next week, Mr. Chrisman will be taking over a lot of the property enforcement, maintenance person, Stephanie Wood. Yay! So, and then hopefully we'll, from there, be able to get the initiative going with identifying properties and getting correspondence out, having surveys and reviews, and working with people in the community to help them improve the outside of their properties. And I'll let him talk more about that.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I've had a couple people come to me about the scooters again, and we had someone come to City Council like two or three meetings ago to ask about that. Do you know if anything is updated with that? I know they were going to talk to the police chief.
So I spoke with the police chief, and he did find something in the revised code which does address scooters. I need to look into that a little bit more to make sure that it's the actual scooters you ride on, not like the mobility scooter.
Yeah.
But I think, I'm pretty sure it is. It focuses on safety and talks about riders needing to, most importantly, wear a helmet, things like that. So once we can get that finalized, we'll have that ready to go. It's already in the revised code, so we don't need to necessarily put it into our codified ordinances because the city is able to follow the revised code, and we are a statutory city, so we do follow the revised code. It's just if we want to adopt it or make anything more stricter than what's in the revised code, we can do our own ordinance. I believe if someone is stopped in violation of this, which mostly, it's going to be kids probably stopped. I know Chief Scott mentioned that there is a $10 fine for the first instance, but it definitely gets the safety aspect out to the public.
Thank you.
But will it go on their permanent record? That's what really scared me about this. It's going on their permanent record.
Scooter speeder.
Yeah. Okay. Safety Service Director.
Just thank everybody for the 4th of July. I thought all of our people, EMS, police, street department, all did a very nice job. I thought the cemeteries looked great for the holiday. Beach was packed, we had cleaned that. Obviously, beachgoers for the fireworks didn't do a great job of cleaning up, but our guys took care of that. Still having issues with the bathroom up at Waterworks specifically. Just jamming stuff in there. I mean, we're paper towelless in there, I guess I should say. They're still putting rags and stuff in the toilets. I cannot send people back every hour to do that on the weekend. It just can't happen. I mean, financially we couldn't do that either, and you're not going to put an attendant outside of the restroom. So That's been still a problem. City Park has been actually better than the other ones right now. We had an issue at Portage Park too that was kind of stuff all over in there. But other than that, I think the guys are doing a good job. Just so you know, we are 2 guys short. We have 2 guys out with shoulder injuries, so probably through the rest of the summer for sure. And by about 3 weeks from now, our college kids will start to mosey out, take a week's vacation, and be gone. So these guys are doing a good job with all the things that we have to get done with the manpower that we have. Yeah, the Mayfly Light's supposed to start next week unless they end up sending people down for this hurricane or something, then obviously we'll be pushed back. And we're having discussions on that for next year already, so we have a little better time. So other than that, that's all I had. Thank
Any
you.
questions for Mr. Colston?
I do. Mr. Colston, since we're short 2 men and there's a lot to be done, are you going to delay pickup brush for low limbs or just really try to start it next week?
We've already started it this
Is
week.
it, I don't know, I haven't seen anybody.
It's the second Monday, so yeah, it's gonna take, there's a lot of brush out there. It'll take probably all the way till Friday.
Okay.
Depends on what happens tonight with, I don't know if we're gonna get too much wind or not, but
Tomorrow.
we have some storm damage, then it may be into next week before we get it all. So we'll judge that by ear, play that by ear.
Thank you.
Moving on to city staff reports, Mr. Crispin.
Thank you, Madam President. As the law director had mentioned, I'll be assuming the duties of the property maintenance officer shortly. And the first step in that long process will be to develop a comprehensive system for evaluating all the properties in town and coming up with a more formal way to track discrepancies and to pursue them. I'll definitely need council members' assistance in your wards, not only to identify issues, but to speak with people about addressing issues. So I'll be in communication as that moves along, and I'll take any input and advice on best ways to accomplish the goals that we all have, which is trying to make the city a more beautiful place. So,
Rule with an iron fist.
yeah. I got tiny fists, so that's it. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Crispin? Okay, acting chief Gutman.
Well, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to come forward today with just information. Your fire department is currently undergoing their 10-year ISO audit, and a couple things have been brought to light during this audit. A couple things we've been able to make changes to internally. And in case anybody doesn't know, the ISO audit is a number that's tagged with us. It affects taxpayers' insurance rates and whatnot, so we try our best to get as low as a number as we possibly can. But in the midst of this audit, it is also forced like a critical eye over how our department is right now. And last week I had to sit with the auditor, Gabe Bulow, and we discussed a couple of things that are out of compliance with the fire department right now. We're looking at the ARPA funds currently to help get us at a more safer department, more compliant department. We're in need of 35 helmets because ours are outdated. NFPA states that after 10 years, you cannot use those to protect your melon. Even though plastic has a half-life of 3,000 years, apparently after 10 years, they're no longer as protected. But we have to replace all of our helmets. Also, we need air packs. We need clean air to breathe when we're inside burning buildings. And our current system is not NFPA compliant or NIOSH compliant. So we have to spend money to get that upgraded. That is a hefty one. That's a couple $100,000 to replace our current air packs. And finally, there's our Cascade system, which is what feeds all the air into the air packs. It's out of NFPA and NIOSH compliance as well. So the hope was to go through with your guys' blessing and spend some of the ARPA money to help get this department into compliance with some of the issues. Also brought to light is our staffing. It was really shown this weekend. We had a structure fire. It's been shown for a while now, but currently with our setup, we have 37 employees with the fire department. 24 of them are volunteer, paid on call. They come whenever their pager tones, if they're available to respond. The other 13 are full-timers. Out of those 13 full-timers, per our job description with the city, 0 of them can work in a fire capacity. That means that all of our full-time firefighters cannot fight fire. They sit at station on Friday night during the house fire, we had 5 firefighters from Port Clinton arrive to help fight this fire. We had 4 full-timers that could only assist in medical necessity. Per Ohio Revised Code, because they have volunteer fire card, they cannot get paid career wages to act in fire suppression. And then our gentleman Tom Sees, who's a fire too, doesn't have a job description created to be able to work in a fire suppression. So I'm looking to move the fire department to the next level and certify all of our current full-time staff into firefighter EMTs instead of just EMTs. So that way, in case of 911, anybody that might need it, we have on station automatically 4 firefighters that can respond to your emergency. Currently, we have 0. We have to wait until paid on call, can free up from their jobs, free up from their families, get to station. So a lot of these changes are going to have to go through you guys. So I wanted to give a heads up as to kind of like the plan going forward with the fire department. So I am available for any questions. You're probably gonna see my face here quite often in the next couple of months. But as always, you have mine here.
So with that, we're changing job descriptions, basically 3 different ones. And Mrs. Shanker will put an ordinance together for the next council meeting. But we'd like to get this passed as soon as possible. That's why I asked Brian to come in and explain it to you guys a little bit, so understand where we're headed. And so we don't probably want to go through required readings on that one. Let him be able to get this ball rolling, because he already has some guys that are already available to do this. We don't want to keep prolonging that if we don't have to. Does that make sense? So that's kind of what the job descriptions will get passed out and everything like that. But pretty common practice, and Brian's done his homework to put this together, so I appreciate him doing that. So.
And just for clarification, I know you were using a lot of technical terms there. Let's use Robert Ward as an example. Robert is a firefighter and a medic. When he is paid to be at the station running the ambulance and there's a fire call, he can't be a fireman. He has to stay as the EMT. If he's at home having dinner with his wife and the pager drops, he can come to the station and be a volunteer firefighter. What they're looking to do is make those folks that are at the station on their 24-hour shifts, give them the capability to put down their medic bag and pick up a turnout gear.
How many do you want to end up with?
All full-time, I want all 13, including me. My title right now on paper is EMS captain. The only reason I can work in fire suppression activities is because of my acting position. That's the only reason I can even do what I'm doing right now.
Do you want to go above the 13? Or
Oh, I would love to, yeah. I would love to get one more person.
what's your ideal number?
At least 5 per shift. That allows vacation, sick time, without having to mandate other personnel to fill those spots. If we can go 5 per shift, somebody can take off and we'll still be able to man 2 ambulances.
So it'd be about 20 people, because you got that off shift, right?
It'll be 16 if you include
Oh, yeah.
administration, but 5 per shift, that's 15 total. If you give me 33, I can work with that.
Yeah, I don't know that there will be numbers in the ordinance. I mean.
Yeah, I'm not asking for additional
Right.
personnel.
No, that was out of my
But yeah,
curiosity.
ideally if you look at our size area, NFPA, what they call for with the amount of people per shift, per population, per square mile, we need to have 10 people being able to respond to a fire. If half of that is already on station as full-time capacity, that gives us a good opportunity to make those numbers. But it's very frustrating this past year having 4 people on scene that cannot do anything because their job description says so. It's a very simple fix.
So you're not talking about adding personnel, you're just talking about rewording things so that.
And certifying our current personnel. They're all going to have to go through additional education. I've got a class planned for fall for half of them and a class planned for spring for the other half. So my goal by January 2026 is to have all of our current full-timers fired and EMS.
But the example the mayor used, the guy is certified to fight fires.
Yep.
But not when he's an EMT, so how do you get around that?
Create a job
The
description.
job description we're gonna do. pass
Oh,
to
okay.
you guys.
All right, so.
Yep, all that takes is a job.
Because right now, the job description EMT is just EMT.
Yep, that's all.
Okay, I got it. All right, thank you. That makes more sense.
Are,
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Just say
just,
something.
I hear sirens all the time. Does it seem like the call volume's up for both the squads and the fire? I mean, it just seems like constantly there's something going through.
Typically, our call volume increases between 8 to 10% every year. For example, let's bring this up. Our population base is very similar to Rossford, Ohio. Talking with personnel over there, they average about 1,000 to 1,100 calls a year. We did 3,400 last year. So for our size, because we bring a lot of tourists in the summer, we are significantly understaffed to handle that. I got to give a lot of credit to these volunteers because even when both ambulances are out and the third one's needed, our volunteers that are EMTs come in and man that ambulance. Sometimes during the summer, it's multiple times a day. It takes away from the family a lot. So I got to give credit to the volunteers for stepping up and helping.
I think it's worth noting that he's accomplishing the feats of a full-time fire department with an all-volunteer fire department. He's operating a fire department business with a lot of goodwill and not a lot of resources. And that's not a sustainable position to be in. So along with the ARPA dollars that he referenced earlier, a lot of that is to accomplish these same goals, get people qualified, get people certified, so that we have the supply to meet the demand that already exists.
Mrs. Shea?
Are these ARPA dollars going to cover the equipment that's outdated?
Some of it, yes.
Are they going to cover the helmets they need to wear?
I'm looking at the helmets, the Cascade system, and then most of our air packs. And then turnout gear we'll get to probably piecemeal that out.
And you said they're outdated and there's an urgency. How outdated are they? I mean, are they outdated because the 10 years is coming up and we need to plan,
No.
or are they already outdated and we need to?
We have personnel that are already outdated. I can't let them go into a structure or do any kind of fire because they don't have the equipment.
Okay, so that's important then to get that passed in the first reading, so you could go ahead and order this equipment? Or get the equipment, and is there like any delays or anything?
No, the helmets are on the shelves. I've got all the quotes. I've talked to all the vendors. They're just waiting for finances to go through. But yeah, as soon as that's done, it's like a week later we'll have helmets.
And then the turnout gear, you said that that's gonna be piecemeal out.
Yeah.
Do you think you could get that accomplished since the ARPA funds will be helping out with the helmets and other items?
We'll see. It costs about $6,000 out for one firefighter. So we'll see.
We don't have enough ARPA dollars to cover the full extent of all the equipment that the fire department needs. So we've already met with Brian and discussed kind of the strategy of what needs to be addressed right now and what we can kind of address a little bit and then continue to address it moving forward and getting to compliance eventually. And so we have a strategy worked out where we're going to be addressing the majority of the concerns with the majority of the ARPA dollars, not all of it, and then scheduling the rest of the compliance over next year.
Margaret, will you shave your head for the fire department?
Pays dividends.
You need a new status to get it to. New status.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Okay, thank you. Move on to committee reports. Finance, Ms. Silvas?
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Environment, and Public Works, Mr. Chilton. Safety Services, Ms. Phillips.
Nothing this evening, but I was very glad to hear about all this information about the fire department, I'll tell you that.
Economic and Community Development, Ms. Gilman.
Nothing today, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. We have nothing under correspondence. We have no readings of ordinances and resolutions. Moving on to business from the floor, Mr. Morgan.
Well, I went to the fireworks and I was pretty angry because instead of watching from right in front, I was at the gristmill this time and they started going off and I could barely see them until 2 minutes later, the real ones. I was looking at ones from Catawba. I was somewhere out there and I'm thinking, you know, I'm in the row for the gristmill. I'm thinking, who picked this spot? Because they were going. I thought, those can't be. Those can't be. Did they get cheap ones? And then the real ones started, and they were all very good.
What time did you get there? That's
How long had you been there?
that's what I was asking.
They were upside down.
I had only been there a short time. So, but no, I thought, did the mayor mayor get some cheapo fireworks? But I was looking at the angle, those can't be ours. And everybody's going, and then the railroads came, so thank you for the fireworks, they had to be good. And by the way, they're perfect. They're not too long, not too short. It's the right amount. And a lot of people think that, so thank you for everybody's in charge.
Mrs. Gangle? Nothing. Ms. Phillips?
Thank you, Madam President. I like fireworks too, and for some reason, they just seem to be a little higher in the air this time. Last year wasn't, they seemed lower level, and I thought, no, this is better this year.
Does it
I
depend on
didn't
when
expect
and
this.
stuff
I
like
have
that?
no idea what it depends on, but I just thought they were really good. And regarding the fire department, do we have to do any kind of levy to get this taken care of in the event that we can't do it with the?
We're talking internally with a lot of different things.
Not with the current purchase for equipment to become compliant, we will be able to accomplish with the ARPA funding. The broader topic of employing the fire department is a deeper conversation.
Okay,
Yep.
I was just wondering, I wasn't quite sure.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President.
Mrs. Owens? Nothing tonight, Mr. Troll?
Yes, I have a few questions. 1405 East 3rd Street, it's the house.
The half house.
Not even a half. Drove by it again today, and one corner's starting to lean in the front. I really think something needs to be done there. I mean, their basement is still open. I don't understand how that house is like that. I know, because we haven't had a building inspector, but I think something needs to be moved on that. If you notice, as you're facing it, it's the left-hand side, and it's starting to lean in a bit. Okay, a while ago, when we talked about the flip project, and now that the roads look great, Mr. Colson, you discussed Republic Trucks and trying to get lighter trucks. Any success on that?
I would say no at this point. Some different strategies is, for example, like 10th Street, the stubs I call them. Maybe having everybody put them on one side of the road, because right now they go down one side, they back out, they go down the other side, back out.
Right.
So if we can get them on one side of the road, they go all the way down one time and back out, we can eliminate some of that, and obviously do the same thing for recycling. So trying to eliminate that kind of stuff. I have not found anybody, and we're still working going forward, that has smaller trucks. The only smaller trucks you're going to find are if they do it by hand.
Right,
I
right.
don't know what the cost will be on that from being able to have the manpower to do that.
Right.
So I have one company, actually Doug Nusser has somebody in Woodville that does that still. That's the only company I've found. Told you I talked to
Right.
Solid Waste or whatever that was up there. And once they heard we talking about weights of trucks, they were out. They wouldn't even speak to me. So the Republic is supposed to come back with some type of plan. We talked about putting them in the streets. I think that could end up being not a good idea
Right.
with parking and trying to jockey in. So that's kind of where we're at. I do not have a good answer on that yet. We're going to obviously keep an eye with this first phase and see how it works out towards the west end and see if they're messing the streets up like this.
Okay, you talked about the vandalism. I don't know, this doesn't have to do with us, but was it up in Maumee or up around Toledo? They had thousands of dollars of vandalism, so it's just not us. I mean, it
Right.
stinks, but I don't know what's wrong with people. Okay, and my last question, since we have the roads going, as I said, what's the schedule for the underground? I mean, do you see it?
Well, the underground was still supposed to be bid sometime in November of this year.
It'll be
starting next
bid in
spring.
November? Okay.
Supposed to be that. I mean, obviously, we got to get through the USDA. As you know, those hurdles took a little longer
Yeah.
last time.
Right.
But it's supposed to be bid then. We start then, probably 6 to 7 months into that part of the project, they'll start with phase 2 of the resurfacing, because all the streets we're putting water and sewer will have a trench,
Right.
then it'll be milled, and then they'll cover it up. So
Right.
that's kind of what the schedule is right now, at this point, so.
Okay, and does that include 4th Street and?
4th Street's a total reconstruction, if you
Right,
remember.
right.
4th, 7th, and Washington, total reconstruction. So that'll be curbs, like everything.
Right.
And that'll be that's bid at the same time as the
That's the
rest of the
underground.
water and sewer, the rest of the underground.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for those
You're welcome.
That's
I'd like to
it, man.
piggyback on that.
Sure.
Do you have an-
About the garbage cans, you know, even like, I live on Harrison Street, but I never thought they go down twice. I don't think most residents would be upset if they all had to put them on, say, the east side or the west side, or the north or south. It's just another 20 feet to go across the street.
Depends on what side of the street you live on.
I mean, I wouldn't mind, you know, but,
Right.
you know, so.
Some of our older community would probably very much.
Especially in the winter time.
Yes, the winter would be tough. You know, the streets, Adams, Washington, try to put them in the street with cars parked, it just isn't gonna work. You know, we had that discussion. I was disappointed because they said there's some extension arms, so we talked about that a little bit. When I did that the first go around in safety service, they said they could reach 10 foot. Well, they admitted in the meetings I had they can reach about 4 feet. So they have to, obviously the weakest part of the road is gonna be in your gutters, right?
Exactly.
And that's where you can see it. You go down the brick streets, they're probably 8, 10, 12 inches down along the gutter. You go down Columbia and those kind of streets, you can see where they ride the curb. We talked about, you know, I saw it in front of my house. They picked up somebody's and rode the curb all the way down. Go back in the road and then go back over. At least help out with some of that kind of stuff and do that. I mean, it's a tough problem. It really is. I mean, these streets originally weren't designed for that kind of heavy load. So doing everything we can to try to do little things like that to help, you know, prolong the life of the roads, obviously.
That's all I have.
Mrs. King?
I had several compliments about the fireworks that I couldn't see because my dog is scared of fireworks. But I heard a lot of nice things about them. Just great job, everyone.
I've gotten a lot of compliments about the road work, that it looks great, people commenting, you know, they're just so happy it started, so all the work that was done to get that going is much, much appreciated. And nothing else, Madam President.
Okay. Seeing no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam President, I move this August body adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you. A motion by Ms. Phillips, second by Mr. Trolley to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Thank you. We're adjourned.